a tag, grant.
How's
How's
that
grant.
making BMP
And
compliance?
it's basically like
If
working
you
with
got
Clarke County School
runoff issues and
District.
stuff, clear cut.
It's like work, service
Well,
learning
it
sort of
probably
stuff,
has
but
some
then also
fencing
these
up.
kids planting
Okay.
trees and learning about tree
Probably not.
plantation.
It's not
Best.
maintained.
I mean, it's really good stuff.
Yeah,
It's
well,
not
that's the thing
coming
is
back around,
this development
replicating
takes
some of the
years,
things we did.
what,
about
4 years ago, 3 years ago? Yeah, at least.
So I was kind of just sharing with them.
And then they went bankrupt. So
some
there's no one really
history
there
of
to
what worked and kind of where we fit in.
do it.
You know what I mean?
And no real recourse.
And she would say, think, well, maybe we.
What we
need to
can
do
say is like,
something.
okay,
Now
well,
go
we
back
can
and put
put
a
penalties on
focus,
your
you know,
development,
like
but
this
they're
big
making it
stuff.
anyways. So it's like
Yeah.
squeezing shoes from rocks.
Yeah, I mean, it's
So,
kind of like having
well,
a
if you think about it, yeah, just think about it. But at some point, what's our really this really probably issue on English one was a part of it too. He was, yeah.
And now those are starting to get developed.
Hello, how are you?
But yeah, I mean, I'm actually happy to report a recommendation that needs.
Planning. Another guy and I are going on.
I will say it's one of the
Friday
few
morning
places in
down at
Athens-Clarke County where we are
Farms.
increasing the
I'm
canopy.
going to take your notes and tips.
Lollies are popped up.
You're looking at such a line. aren't
Yeah,
you?
it looks like. Yeah, it's like, hope it doesn't get loved to death with the parking lots. Yeah.
In the manner that it was removed, you know,
Yeah.
I'm sure there were loblollies, a lot of loblollies on that site, but that's not what.
And it's terrible soil now. I mean, it's all been compacted like crazy. You know, it's been dried out and tilled up and graded. So I mean, it's a shadow of what it once was, and it will take hundreds of years to get back to what it was, just to repair the soil.
Yeah, that's prime for early succession. Like that's why the lots are there in the first place.
Sweet gum will get there soon.
Yeah.
Not privet. Thank you. Everybody on here?
I'm not here, but you can write me in. Write me in.
Well, we got a number of people here. We don't have a forum, but what we can do is we can discuss things, chat.
Really? How
All of
close
those
are we?
things.
I think are we six? Not seven? Seven?
Yeah. Say it again. 7.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess maybe I can just start with a few little things. Arbor Day celebration, right? That's February 17th. We're going to be planting a Georgia oak for Marion Hodgson at the welcome. We're costing over $1,000 for Jaybird Georgia oak. Delivered at the Welcome Center, so still being ground at the Welcome Center where those Bradford pears were, so I had those removed, and there'll be a spot for us. Authentic Brewery really wants us to come over there. Stacy Smith, thank you.
Or you can just, I mean, I know it's going on.
Chatting with them, they're gonna give away, free seedlings there. So I think it'd be nice for us to just have like a little after planting hangout there.
Is
Well,
that on the 17th or is that on the 21st?
Which one?
17th,
So,
President's Day.
Yeah. Arbor Day.
Monday.
Well, ours is always the 17th of February, so. But we don't have to do it on that day specifically. We could always do it, 1 or 2 days before or after, whatever y'all would like. But I figured I would just bring it up. It's kind of an pressing thing. I'm gonna be going to select trees to select the tree. So that they can dig and bring it.
I mean, isn't it always the Friday, the third, is that, I think it's always the third Friday. It's always the third Friday of February. Yeah, but it's really, like nationally,
So it
isn't
might
it
be
the
the
third Friday of
21st.
April? Is that right?
Yeah.
But for those of us with different growing seasons, they push it back to February, right?
think that's the way
It's always been on.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that would be the
At least our
21st.
celebration.
That's the 21st, but also,
That's what
it is the
agreed to.
21st. But also the thing at Authentic is what the CTC did last year with KACCB. So we got the seedlings this year and Stacy's been communicating with Authentic, but she did want me to ask today, like, who would potentially be there. She's gonna bring a table and bring the seedlings and she'll do the PR, I guess. In the past, maybe Mary Songster did it, but Stacy just said, I'll just create something new that has both of our logos or something on it. And so it'll be like 4 to 6-ish or something like that. So she did want to know who from the CTC was gonna potentially come.
We had a table and some band table and actually we got to visit with a number of people that didn't know much about the tree council.
Mhm.
Tell them what was going
Yeah.
on. Trees and stuff.
So we took some of our promotional material, is that what we? Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think last year, no, I think we did get, so this year the trees are coming from Keep George Beautiful Foundation. I think they may have last year, but if not, we used to use like leftover trees from the chipper event. That was just a few weekends ago, the Christmas tree recycling event. But this year there's trees coming in specifically, like 100. Yeah, it's like 2 varieties. Yikes, I can't think of what they are right now.
Last year we had buds, dogwoods, and white oak.
I feel like white oak might be in there, but it was something else. I'm sorry. I can send
It's a
an
cheaper
email.
event. There were bald cypress, there were persimmon.
Mhm. But this is, yeah,
This is specifically.
this
for
is the
this
new set of
event.
trees that are
Oh,
coming in.
okay.
So, but yeah,
It'd be in good shape.
I think so. They should be.
Have you already organized for the tree for the 17th?
No, that's what I was just expecting it for some reason. I'm not sure. That's a good question.
Get Mateo straight here.
Yeah, it's been planned to have the welcome centers in the but is there allowed to be?
What time would be good for everybody for the planting?
Afternoon is always good.
Yeah.
So like 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock?
Sounds good.
Can logistically, so is there, I'm sorry, how big is the tree? Is there a hole being dug or no?
I think I can get landscape to dig it.
That's
But
a
So
three,
it's-
3-inch caliper. It's gonna be a big
That's a
hole.
big
one. Yeah. Yeah.
And that, you just have to have something to get that thing in the hole.
Totally.
Yeah.
We've wrestled those before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's right.
Because we can get the skid steer from
Yeah,
here from
that's nice.
landscape, try to use that as part of it. That would make it way easier to spot. But if we do it, maybe then we should say like earlier, because landscape gets out at 3:30. So
Yeah.
I would say like
Well,
1, maybe that would
And
be.
if this authentic thing's gonna start at 4.
We are still gonna have another meeting before this. February.
The 10th will be our next.
The 10th?
Yeah.
That's Monday, the second Monday is February.
To the next one, so I wanted to bring it up.
Read it the first time and I thought it said that you had moved 2 Bradford pear trees. And I thought, where the hell did you move them to? Put them down.
Move them to hell where they belong.
3 feet of.
Into the landfill.
Canopy.
So it removed was the operative thing. I like that.
Okay, well, tentatively, we can say 1 PM. We'll see about it.
Yeah.
Can talk with people. 1 PM. Gary, I know you had something you wanted to talk about. We can wait on that for just a minute. Because you were talking about invasives, trying to get onto the Atlantis.
Yeah,
train.
specifically, yeah.
I like that. Jesse, do you have anything you want to talk about beforehand?
Do we have anyone willing to become president when we have a quorum? This will be my 4th year. I have reluctantly agreed to.
I know you were kind of,
Brent?
I'll do it. Will you speak? I don't like to speak in front of people and you're so good at it.
I'm
At like
happy,
our events. I'll do the behind the scenes president
I'm
stuff if that would.
I'm happy to speak when a speaker is necessary.
Okay,
However, on the 21st, I'm not available in the afternoon. We have an Arbor Day event in Lilburn that I have to attend, so. But otherwise, yes.
I'll help.
We'll figure that.
If you need.
That speaking and getting it out somehow, yeah.
I know, I don't love that aspect of it.
Usually it's just the Green Light Festival,
Yeah,
which I suppose we need to start.
and I could always assist with that.
Yeah, okay. I mean, I know, thank you for doing it all these years when I know you haven't wanted to.
It's not that I don't want to, it's just that my commitment level
Yeah.
has gone from like here to like,
Right.
you know, I don't have as much time as I once did, so.
Well, we'll vote you in.
We can think about that.
Or we won't, and I'll just continue on
Just.
forever.
We'll never let you out.
Well, I would like Brian to introduce himself to everybody.
Right on. Hi, I'm Brian. I've got, let's see, forester, forest ecologist, timber sale administrator. Worked for the forest circus for about 10 years, everywhere from Alaska all the way down to Central Florida. I was recently the timber staff officer for a carbon capture firm, and now I just kind of started my own forestry business, and I live here now. So Forest Service.
Oh, service, I said circus. I'm like,
Hi.
we did. No, is that what they call it?
Yeah. Yeah. That's great.
I like you better already.
Brian and I got introduced, talking and just being really interested in the idea of inoculating seedlings, with mycorrhizal inoculants. So we hit it off as fast friends.
Controversial topic.
Is it? Really?
Oh, yes.
Who, with who?
It's the deal is the commercial mycorrhizal inoculants are all junk. And so, yeah, like the projects that I've worked on, they were all like whole microbiome donation. So like I have a test site from my carbon capture days actually over in Lexington. And yeah, it's just a lob plantation that we inoculated a bunch of trees in, and we were seeing 60% additional growth on the lob. So, and that's just that one site. Yeah, and I got there's like 15 others that I planted between Northern Virginia and East Texas.
Yeah, the commercial applications are, a lot of people see as snake oil, because if you plant in a good planting environment, then you don't really need to apply mycorrhizal applications because they'll grow in the soil naturally.
Yeah.
Because they're-
Yeah, there's a small band where it actually is really beneficial, like you're saying, like if it's got a good site index, or if the pH is off, or if it has a really good host microbiome in place already, like it's pointless. But like, you know, that grassland where you're operating out of, like there's nothing there right now. And
Or I suppose the site that we were talking about, like.
yeah, oh yeah, that new site. Yeah, so with clear cuts, when they do a clear cut like that, it destroys like 95% of the microbiome. So,
But I
Yeah.
understand it can be, it's reintroduced very quickly once you start planting new species. Like it's kind of naturally growing.
yeah, it takes a while. But like, the company that I was working for, they inoculate like nursery seedlings, and so they're juicing trees for like Rainier and companies like that. Like it's mostly commercial application stuff, but yeah, it's a lot of fun. AI is involved. So yeah.
No, I mean, I was just saying,
Yeah.
I've been really hot to trot on microbiotic communities within the soil in the past couple of years. So it was very fortuitous that I think it was Wick's wife.
Yeah, I ran into her at the dog park.
Yeah,
But
just
yeah.
randomly started talking about acorns, and she was like, "I know the guy you need to talk to."
Yeah.
And send him my way. So
But yeah, with regard to the micro, like everything that you said is like spot on. So
That's good.
yeah, it's pretty bonkers.
I like to be right about things.
but it is very impressive what those inoculations can do early on.
Yeah.
60% increase in carbon sequestration is pretty wild.
Yeah, like our coastal plain test sites, we're getting 30 to 45%. And so like those suckers, I had year 1.5 seedlings that were over 2 meters tall. So they were just juiced. It was impressive.
Wow.
Performance enhancing.
Yeah.
Naturally existing.
Yeah, naturally occurring BBs for sure. But yeah, I invited Brian to come. He's just a wealth of knowledge. Anytime I talk to him, learning pretty much every minute of that. So I definitely need to invite Brian out here to chat, at least see what we're all about.
So are you interested in holding office with the CTC?
Yeah.
And have you paid your
Water thing is
Yeah, so Mateo has mentioned it, so
I
I
think-
figured I'd show up at least.
Are you asking if he has presidential aspirations?
Thanks for joining us.
And actually, Brian and I went and walked a portion of Forest River off Southeast Clarke Park, near the dog parks. He brought it up to me, just saying, hey, this is a really dense pine forest. We see a bunch of dieback. So I think it's an early catch by a really well-seasoned eye for looking at forest composition. So I'm sure we'll be talking about that section of forest here someday soon. About trying to maybe thin it out or do some sort of mitigation to it. But yeah, so today I was like, well, hey, we're having a meeting. You should come. But I definitely recommend y'all chat with them if you're interested in anything fungus related, as I am. And we got a really cool reforestation project going on where my sycamore wall is growing. So that will be a lot of fun in the future. You don't know about my sycamore wall, Gary?
No, tell me.
I planted 1,800 sycamores, bare root whips, a foot apart around a large property. And then I cleared them out, or I took out every other tree a year later. And now I'm bending them down and having them inoculate to each other to form like a wall, a sycamore wall.
It already looks really cool.
Yeah, I'm doing a bunch of weeding this winter as well. I just started this weekend and I'm gonna continue on this winter. Should be pretty cool, but there's 4 acres of grass where somebody cut down every tree on 4 acres because they got broken into during the day. And they blamed the trees. It was the trees, because no one saw that car pulling in my driveway and unloading my house.
Don't forget the BMP nightmare there.
Yeah, and it's pretty bad. They just stumped every tree and just kind of dug a new drainage channel. So when I saw the property initially, I just saw it as a reforestation project. I was lucky enough to get it, and now trying to figure out what to do with it. So Brian's helping me a lot.
Yeah. Have you talked with NRCS yet, or?
Not yet.
Okay.
Not yet. But Brian has a lot of really cool ideas about kind of like wouldn't call it mob stalking, but dense plantings that will slowly kind of self-thin, or you'd have to thin them out. But hardwood restorations, what he and I have been talking a lot about. Unfortunately, that's a little more expensive than other reforestation
Yeah.
projects. Loblolly pine is all we see here just because it's the cheapest, easiest to economize, I think.
You're just gonna get all the leftover seedlings from the giveaways.
I should. Start
Yeah, pretty much.
over in daffodils, you'll see thousands of daffodils, maybe.
I mean, there's always like, you know, an oak and an understory tree, so,
Yeah, yeah. And they always have a lot.
and they always have a lot.
All right, well, let's see. Gary.
Yeah.
Reports.
Yeah, well, so just to review, spotted lanternfly has come to Georgia. It's moving south. It was spotted in Fulton County back in October. And one possible way to fend off infestation of it is to get rid of tree of heaven, because those bugs really like tree of heaven. And there's some thinking that that's the way lanternfly establishes itself. It finds a grove of tree of heaven and then just goes to town. So we were talking about doing a little survey of the county and trying to find where all the tree of heaven is. There's only right now there's only 6 known populations, and I'm sure there's a lot more than that. So if we could find those places and monitor them for lanternfly or eliminate them if possible, that would be a good thing to do. Just for the lanternfly problem. Plus, we don't want tree of heaven in any circumstances. And I've talked to some people in the Oconee County Parks Department. They're interested in that too. And so Stephanie Green was thinking about doing a blitz invasive plant survey during invasive species awareness week. Do y'all know about invasive species? It's an annual nationwide thing, takes place between February 24th and 28th. And so that would be a little publicity thing we could do on that, is have people go out and with their phones and map out. I hope for tree of heaven, but just whatever else needs mapping, like calorie pair maybe. So that there's a lot of ideas floating around what can be done about the tree of heaven as it relates to the lanternfly. I don't know how we would go along, help with that, but
Is there any funding in the budget for that kind of like survey, invasive species identification, that kind of thing? Or could it be requested and considered for funding in the upcoming budget? Like that's the kind of stuff that I feel like we should have a line item for on an annual basis.
It could definitely be requested. I don't think I have anything at my disposal that would really fit that bill. I could use forester budget for it.
so you're talking about like paying somebody to go out and put stuff on a map, or where would the
Yeah,
money be spent?
When you ask for public to go out and do this, you kind of get half-assed results, but when you actually hire professionals to go and do the job, you find out, what you need to know.
So have you all ever used Survey 123?
We've got it.
Okay, so you could crank it out like a Christmas Day bird count. Like just create a survey and I don't know, put it up by like social media or whatnot. And just have hey, here's what these invasives look like. And then you could just do a survey and it's GPS locked.
I mean, I feel like there at least needs to be like an educational budget to reach the public. That's the thing,
That could be part of CTC's, mission with community outreach, is trying to create some marketing materials or something. I mean, I like the idea of hey, welcome back.
I know, right?
The public information office can probably help us put something out there when we talk about it, or we could have, like a citizen science day where it's hey, go out there and if you find privet or Bradford pear or wisteria or tree of heaven, mark it down. And that would give us some crowdsourced way of coming up with a lot of places at one time. If we were to do an inventory, usually you're looking at somewhere from like $4 to $6 a tree. And that's contracting with a large consulting firm. And then usually it's like you're doing every tree in an area. And then that's what they charge, $4 a tree. And that's actually a really good deal, would be $4 a tree. I think UGA just got a serve or an inventory done, and I believe it was $7 a tree. They spent over $100,000 on the campus. But I think citizen science might yield some good results. Just because it really opens us up to a really broad area, would be my guess. Of course, there is higher likelihood of misidentifying. But I think it would allow us to see a large area, and then we could go back and ground truth and say, okay, well, we see, somebody says there's a tree of heaven here, let's go and look.
I mean, that's a follow up with that too. I mean, you have to have somebody reaching back out to those people, confirming the species and then reminding them to go back and look for the spotted lanternfly every
The egg masses, yeah.
3 months, 6 months, 9 months, like.
And the time of year, I guess, would be crucial, like, you want to pick a time of year when it's easiest to identify that species, like in the middle of the
Have to be
winter.
in summer. Yeah.
Is there a certain bloom time, like that would be the best, like, awesome.
Yeah, there's a certain smell. You can identify a tree of heaven any time of year. The bark, the leaves, whatever, it stinks to high heaven, so.
I honestly don't see them very often.
What?
I honestly don't see them very often.
Yeah.
Follow me around sometime.
Aren't they sumac?
Pardon?
Yeah.
I thought, because
But-
aren't they confused with sumac?
Yeah, you could kind of describe it as a giant sumac.
I think I've mistaken.
Yeah, when they're small, you say, oh, that's a sumac, but it's not.
Distribution of them is usually pretty clumpy. I mean, you see one, you usually see a bunch.
Yeah, because
And then you
they're,
may go away without seeing them.
right, yeah, the root sprout phenomenon is impressive.
What I was thinking is that if people do show me where they are, then I can, I was thinking about buying one of the easy jets, like the Lance with the 22 cartridge, so I can just go to them and hit them easily without having to girdle them or spend a lot of time.
Yeah, and that has to be done at the right time of year, or you'll make the roots mad and sprout.
I want to make them the roots dead.
What'd you call that product? The EG?
Easy jet, I think
Wow.
is what they call it.
Spike on the, like a trump card spike on the
Yeah.
end.
Yeah,
It's a long broom handle, you can just stick it on and like hit it with a hammer.
Nice.
And
and you have to get the imazapyr cartridges, not the glyphosate cartridges, because, yeah, because that species needs the imazapyr.
The big guns. Well, I think, I don't know, I mean, do we want to try, I mean, Gary, could you want to maybe talk to, well, I could talk with Jeff Montgomery at Public Information Office and see exactly what they would be interested in doing about like getting the word out about tree of heaven specifically. When do you think, if we were to do like a citizen science type thing, when do you think that would be best done?
Well, Stephanie's trying to pull together a county-wide thing. I think maybe with leisure services to do a public information thing and a specific bio blitz during that invasive species awareness week.
Okay, do you know when that week is?
Yeah, 24th through 28th February.
Same time everything else in the world's happening.
You'll be thinking of thieves.
Go scraping on the bark.
Yeah, just scratch and sniff.
Biological scrapes. Okay, well, I mean, we could probably even go again after February 24th, try to move in the summer again.
Yeah.
But I can work with Stephanie on that.
Is there any way to like rope in Warnell and Odom on something like that?
You would think, but so often there's a real disconnect between ACC and UGA. Yeah.
And our one connection just rolled off the board.
Yeah, Holly's gone now. Yeah.
I'm meeting with someone tomorrow named Jesse. He's in Warnell and he oversees some kind of projects, like where he puts grad students on things. So I'm seeing him in relationship to the Latin American Garden. But when I find out more about the program, there might be some kind of collaboration in that. I can just, yeah, if he's looking, I think this is like outgoing students or out leaving UGA, but looking to have like a final project that makes them look like they've had some kind of community engagement while they were here. So, that might be something.
Okay.
Is the ecology club still in existence?
I don't think so. I think there might be ecology clubs at Athens-Clarke County Schools.
Ah, right. I was more meaning the ones at Odom. Like, yeah, when I first got back from the war, like they were pretty darn active and doing like really crazy stuff, recycling and everything. It's
Ecology club at Park Central.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
First, remind me, first Fridays at ecology at the Odom School, it's for the undergrads. They have a keg and tear and professors there. I really need to go back and say hey to some of my old professors, but that would probably be a good time to check on that. I think the bio blitz that Stephanie's doing, I wonder if that's in conjunction. Have you heard about them trying to do the bounty program for calorie pairs?
Yeah, that, I guess a separate thing.
Okay. Yeah, she recently told me that she might have funding to be able to do a bounty program on some invasive species. So that's interesting.
I think BioBlitz is something fairly established, or at least the concept is, and for all kinds of things, including surveying insects or plants or whatever. But it's usually designed just an inventory, isn't it? I mean, that's what she's getting at, I guess, just identifying where there are populations and not necessarily with that same group be the ones that would be doing the treating or the elimination.
Yeah. And Stephanie's talking about not just, I really like the focus on the tree of heaven and tying that in with the lantern plow, but Stephanie's talking about a more broad-based BioBlitz to public consciousness about the invasives and where they are.
Yeah, I guess I'm kind of like broadly thinking of invasives. I've thought about putting out like a survey 1, 2, 3, where people could notify me of invasive species or patches, forests that are overrun with privet. Idea of where those are, so then I can look at it on LiDAR, see if maybe we can characterize those and easily identify all of the privet patches in our county. But I guess I should rope it in with the same thing, public information office, and the spotted lantern fly. I think those would be the.
But sometimes people get real upset about invasive bugs more than invasive plants because they're creepy and they move around. So I like to put those two together.
That's the opposite.
The lantern fly is very ostentatious. People might actually like recognize it.
Kind of looks dangerous when you see
It's unfortunate because I think they're very attractive, which is.
But I mean, the fact that they are so easily to identify and so gaudy be enough to get people interested.
All right, well, I'm gonna check with Jeff Montgomery and see what, if they're interested or able to promote something like that. Otherwise, I think it would have to be just CTC putting something out there, maybe in conjunction with sustainability.
Yeah. And a little educational effort about how the lanternfly spreads. And if we could, let people know, what those egg masses look like, what the bug looks like, and if you've got this tree, you definitely needs to be looking at it. And interestingly, there's a whole lot of tree of heaven around Athens Land Trust property, which I'd like to specifically clue them in to keep an eye
The
out.
property off North Avenue, the property off North
Oh,
Avenue,
off of, what is that little forest? North
100 acre or acre wood or whatever.
5 Acre Wood,
5
yeah,
Acre Wood.
yeah, that, the road that goes past 5 Acre Woods is, on the residential side, is basically lined with tree of heaven. And then there's some on the land trust property too.
Right of way stuff, I could end up putting a dent in. It's just the
Oh.
private property that.
So that might be an opportunity. It's just going directly to the land trust and utilizing some of their resources, their volunteers and
Yeah.
they've already got a PR machine out there and focusing on for that invasive species week, just getting the PR out there about the species. We follow up.
They have
Yeah.
a crew. I saw in their newsletter, like at the end of the year, it talked about that they had a student work crew with a leader that had been working on invasive control on Birchmore. And so,
Yeah, I'm
so it's-
involved with that group, yeah.
but from the land trust, like
Right,
a
yeah.
land trust employee.
Yeah, youth conservation.
Yeah.
keyword.
Yeah, I've been working with that
So
group
it's-
for the last 6 years.
So, but they're not interested in taking the tree of heaven out from their own property or something?
I don't know. I mean, they're real focused on the 5 Acre Woods and Birchmore Trail. That's their assignment.
So they just got more funding from the ag group.
Yeah.
And they were talking, Stephanie and I had a meeting with them a couple of days ago, and they are going to be really paying attention to planting and invasive removal with the youth conservation stewards.
So they're gonna do this conservation.
They got funding
Because they
for it.
didn't do it the last, what, 2 years?
Yeah, they
well,
spent a year. It used to be just a summer program, but now it's year round.
And their van got totaled, so they couldn't take people places, and now with this new funding, they can rent a van so that they can actually get people to their spots. So they can work again. So I think that would really line up with what they're wanting to do, as long as it's in a CGS area. Of
Which
a
one's-
underserved area.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Look at when they're in foliage. That's how you can identify people.
No, I don't think it is.
Yeah.
There's a couple little pockets, like Baxter Street area, North Athens,
I got two
very
very
yeah, those are
interestingly.
the main CGS areas.
That I collected. I thought they were butter.
I recently met with the new housing.
So-
director, and there can be taken out
Yeah, not
trees
to,
and Parkview
they smell
that are
like
just
rose.
water stuff that are overgrown.
Rapists or something.
Certain different buildings, tearing up sidewalks. They're interested in new planting.
Just
Like,
probably a turtle to it.
Yeah.
Certainly that.
Down,
Oh, yeah.
down, Baxter Broad,
Okay.
near the campus.
Let's say that would be a good place to tell Christina Hilton,
Yeah.
but they're kind of looking for places to plant.
One that has.
Oh, yeah.
Birds.
Well, there's no root around it, so-
It's,
But. they-
at Lake Park. Yeah, sure, should remind people, it's not happening. There's still slots available.
Slots available.
Yeah.
Martin Luther King Day of Service. Glad you said that. So we're gonna be at Lake Park. Yeah, that's the one downtown, right?
Yes.
Right.
So we're cutting vines. There's a bunch of English ivy growing up trees there. So it's just super easy pickings. We don't really have to be clearing much. We're just gonna go with loppers, hand saws.
And are you gonna be painting the cuts?
Yeah, so I'm gonna have a Ranger Pro, that we can paint with, or paint on. Um. We should have loppers and stuff ready to go from Stacy. Um,
I'm kind of confused. So we're listed as something at the Birchmore and something at Lake Park?
I don't think we're listed as Birchmore.
No,
Yeah, we are.
no,
When I looked it up, it was only at Lake Park
Really?
for CTC.
Okay, let me see what I've been looking at.
There might be another group though. I know the Leisure Service is having an event where you can pay money to come and pull English IB for them,
Oh, that's exciting.
which I was very surprised by. Yeah, it's like an event.
Apple, so.
You know.
They call it,
Reverse bounty program.
It's a great idea, honestly, if somebody's willing to pay, then.
I mean, is there like food and beer afterwards?
Yeah, I think it's called The Vine That Ate the South.
oh, that was a kudzu thing. They were gonna talk about the history of kudzu, and they were gonna, I think, like weave baskets or something. Yeah, it cost $10 to go, yeah.
That makes more sense.
Yeah.
There's a
You got
value
to
added.
pull it and
That was the drift I got. But
Well, that is that's this coming Monday.
That's
Yeah.
Okay, day of service, right?
Yes.
and the last I looked, there were a lot of slots available still.
Yeah, so I'll be there. I don't know about all y'all.
I'll be
What,
at the
what
dinner.
time do you think that will actually be at that location? I know the kickoff begins.
But it's the same place.
Yeah,
Oh,
we're going to
oh,
the
is it?
kickoff basically is at that.
Oh.
Yeah, and we had a few trees that fell over onto the apartments that are next door, all covered in English ivy.
Mm.
So when that happened, I said, well, there's my sign. We need to be doing these trees and the kickoff is right here.
Okay.
Well, makes sense. But eye protection, I think would be the biggest thing for yourself. I'm gonna bring eye protection as well for people that don't have it. But I think that's probably the biggest danger when we're all getting into there and trying to make our way into it is poking our eye out. When that's a really common injury doing tree work or anything around that. So
And I would join you, but I'm leading a group behind Oglethorpe Elementary same day. So.
do anything to get us even more work.
Yeah.
All right, Gary, that's it. I'm getting rid of excuses.
So there's a digital sign up sheet somewhere online that we go and get our names on
I
there.
think so, yeah.
Yeah,
On
it's,
impulse.
It's on the MLK Day, the
Yeah.
Athens.
yeah, if you just Google Athens MLK Day, it'll get there.
And I'll send out a reminder email. I'll just send it out tomorrow, just to let everybody know the time, place.
I see, I don't know why I was thinking it was at Birchmore. I guess we had talked about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had talked about it.
But we just decided at Lake Park instead.
Yeah, Birchmore was nominated, but Lead Park got it.
And also, I think Leisure Services Memorial Park for a lot of their invasive removal stuff.
Yeah, well,
and-
they need to get on it. I was just over there.
Well, that was a big point of discussion between Stephanie and I with the youth conservation stewards, was just that, they committed to doing a lot of removal there, but then it doesn't really happen. And it kind of continued that way for a long time. And I think it's probably because of, the van that they didn't have access to for a long time. But yeah, so I think that has been traditionally where they really wanted to put their attention.
The last site that I remember them working on was over in that forested area by southeast Clarke. They did a
Yeah.
bunch.
Yeah, that was 2 years ago. Yeah.
Like a trail clearing or
Yeah.
something right along that trail at the little stream.
Yeah.
In the waters of that stream.
They did a lot of work over there that summer.
And I'm pretty sure the land trust group was involved in the removal at Penn Burton a few years ago.
Okay.
Removal at Penn Burton.
I don't think it was the conservation youth
It
conservation.
may have been one of their other ones,
It
they've
was,
got a few
it
of
was
them.
some land trust affiliated youth.
Yeah, they got youth conservation stewards and they got like youth,
Young urban farmers
urban farmers, yeah.
and
These
young
were-
urban builders.
Yeah. Actually, I remember the conservation street in like the first program we did. It was a few
Okay,
years
maybe
ago.
before I started working.
Yeah, it was a few years ago.
But yeah, the youth conservation stewards were each summer they would move to a different county property.
Might have been the first one.
They worked along the Greenway, like right at our Willow Street. They did a lot of removal there too.
Did you say you wanted to?
I would like to make a motion. I would like to officially relinquish the presidency to Lauren.
There's not, there more.
Yeah,
there's
now.
Jesse.
You got here.
She's in a moment.
I would like to officially nominate Lauren for president of the CTC for 2025. A second for the motion.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Oh.
Bye-bye, Jesse.
As incoming president, she would like you to make a speech now.
The speeches.
The end of an age.
It's,
That's
yeah.
The new.
Thank you, Lauren.
Everyone. I'll do my best, guys.
So all yeas, no nays.
So my first year, I really gave it a lot of effort and it just really went downhill from there. It was COVID, I think, that,
That was tough for everyone. Tough for all groups.
a lot
Let's see, what else do we have to talk about, y'all? We don't have minutes or anything to approve from last, but I'm gonna pass this around, everybody take a look at it, that's Pam's report. We have to submit that by the end of the meeting, but while everyone's doing that, Emily, you got something?
I just a quick, someone asked me about tree pruning by businesses, specifically in front of the Prince Market.
Oh, gosh, yeah, I'm dealing with that right now.
So yeah, they just wanted to make sure their voice was heard, that they were pissed.
Yeah, I nearly jumped out of my truck. when I
Well,
saw
they
it.
actually yelled at the person doing it and then continued yelling at the owner, but I guess, I don't
What
know.
did they prune over there?
All the dogwoods in front of their
Yeah.
patio.
Because it wasn't that.
Prince Market. You can see it still, I think they're still up. And they did it on Thanksgiving Day.
Oh.
They did it on the morning of Thanksgiving.
Kind of like at with the Augusta or what across from Fresh Market where they topped all their ginkgos?
No, I knew exactly what you're talking
What
about. I've
was that
seen that now. But no, on Prince Avenue.
Okay.
So if you're
Yeah.
downtown
Yeah.
and you go to Prince out of town,
Mm-hmm.
it's that first building on your right, just after Pulaski.
Okay.
It's where Farm Burger
Yeah,
is.
yeah.
Just after that, you'll notice it.
Oh, okay.
So I pretty much caught them red-handed, went to them, was like, hey, what's up with these trees? And they're like, oh, I don't know. I was like, come on, like,
You played away, right?
yeah, they're county trees, so,
Who did it?
Prince Market. They're wanting to, I guess, make that patio more visible, so they had them pruned, so I told them you have to replant. So I found them specifically anthracnose resistant, Husa dogwoods, 2-inch caliper, 8 feet tall. And they're gonna remove what they mutilated and replant 5 new dogwoods. But it is really unfortunate, right? Because we've had these dogwoods that have been growing for 20+ years. And we're finally starting to really shade that sidewalk, and now we're going back in time to, 2-inch dogwoods, and it'll take another 10-15 years to get.
You guys don't have a provision in your tree law in this town for like replacing kind?
We do in some instances, but it has to be like a tree preservation area.
Okay.
Technically, I could cite them for like destruction of county property, but the precedent that we've set in the past is really rather work with them and have them appreciate something that's good, and then just kind of let it be.
Right on.
So it sounds like they basically got away with it and accomplished what they wanted with the visibility and.
They most definitely have, and that's why I think Mary and a lot of y'all were on the right track with trying to get a planting bank installed, like, okay, when we have, I understand that if a developer can't meet their conserved canopy requirement, then maybe we don't want to just let them pay
Yeah.
and get out of those requirements. But a planting bank is really good in these instances where now the community has lost out on a decade's worth of shade because someone has removed them. Well, just because they've replanted it doesn't mean that's like enough punitive damage. I think really we need to try to keep them from doing it by making an example of them and saying, okay, well, you're going to replant them and you're going to pay for the lost canopy over those years, and then we can put that towards planting. Athens-Clarke County.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the last good tree law bond stick that I saw resulted in $32 million in fines. That was in New Jersey.
New Jersey has much stricter statewide
Beautiful.
requirements.
So beautiful.
Rex out of this committee. Some punitive ordinances for this kind of stuff.
I think this is a perfect instance for the community tree council to like bring that up to the commission and say, like, hey, this, let me go back. I had lunch with Andrew Saunders recently to show him my canopy analysis for 2020 to 2024. He's very happy with it. And then I realized I only had a few minutes left with him. I said, all right, well, Andrew, you're the interim manager right now, not anymore. But I feel like if I don't take advantage of this situation where we have an advocate for trees in the position of the manager, where they can really discuss these things with commission and mayor and the development community, like, we need to jump on this. We need to strike while the iron is hot. And he said, well, what should we change with the tree ordinance? What should we change? And it's really hard to come up with things on the spot, but this is one of those, I feel like. At least pushing for a community tree planting bank. And I think that
What is a tree planting bank?
It's a fund that is set aside specifically for planting within the community. And in the past, other municipalities have had those, and either they've made it too prohibitive into where they can spend the money, or they've made it way too easy to spend the money. And some municipalities will say, oh, well, we can buy a truck with that money, and it helps us plant. Whereas, okay, maybe that's not the best way. So that's always kind of been the argument against it. It's like, well, we don't want to just be able to spend money on anything. And then also, if you only have 10% of your standard remaining on this lot, you need to conserve all 10%, but you can't because of your development strategy. Well, then in some municipalities, the developer just says, okay, well, we'll just pay it. And we'll just pay how much it takes to cover what we're missing. And I understand that being an argument against it as well. We just let developers.
But can't you design it?
We should be able
Not
to.
that,
We
but
should be
that's
able
not an option.
You would have to define what funds the bank.
Yeah, oh, and what the bank can use
That's
the
what
money
we-
on.
Well, and there's no means of, punishing people for doing shitty pruning on their own property. And often they'll go in there and do that, guarantee that these trees will die. And so when it comes time to redevelopment, there isn't much canopy to conserve. I mean, that's what
I
happens.
mean, you can find
Get away
people
with
that are
it.
chopping trees on private property.
I mean,
I don't think we can.
I mean, you could, is what I'm saying.
Oh, yeah. It is really difficult. For
Yeah.
us, I think.
I mean, on private property, you can pretty much get away with that.
Right, but you can't top a tree in the city of Atlanta without getting fined.
Yeah.
But you can't here.
But you can't hear. But what I'm saying is, we could write it.
Yeah.
The ordinance to where that funds the tree bank.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like, I mean, I hear people complain about these practices all the time. well, it's private property, there's something they can do.
Well, in our
That's not,
subdivision,
that's not true.
Well,
yeah,
especially not
because in our
residential.
subdivision, if you want to cut down a tree, if it's a certain growth, you have to get permission first. You can't just cut it down.
Things like, that's HOA though.
Yeah, it is, yeah, but still on your property and they're telling you, well, if you want to cut it down, you have to get our permission.
I think, you know, that when we start talking about private property trees, the development community is always gonna have a really big say. And I think they would say a lot. But things like this, like Prince Market, where somebody cuts down a county-owned tree.
Yeah.
Or doesn't cut it down, but I mean, destroys it.
They talked, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very badly. You know, those are instances where they are taking away from the public's enjoyment of that sidewalk. And I think that makes sense for us to be able to try to generate planting funds for that. So I think this is a great instance for us to, a good example for us to have it fresh in our mind about maybe making some
I mean, if
recommendations.
there are some other communities out there that have these kind of,
There are.
bring a list, let's look at it.
I mean, I can tell you, 5, just in the
Mhm.
upper portion of Georgia. You know,
So, fun thing about a Bradley fighting vehicle running over a $300,000 tree.
Got my attention.
Yeah, so when I was stationed in Germany, we ended up having to pay out for a trip. We drove a Bradley fighting vehicle across a golf course and ran over a tree, and we had to pay for 5 generations of its seedlings on top of the triple stumpage rates for the tree getting destroyed. But the last major timber theft case that I had to deal with when I was in Wisconsin, we had a logger clear cut 22 acres of oak saw timber. And so the federal prosecutor, that was one of his big angles was and it's funny in context, but the part that matters is that he jacked up the fine by saying, okay, how many acorns and how many trees were we gonna get from every single one of those oak trees? So that's how he pushed the fine up over 600,000. Yeah, and then, started doing felony related stuff and he pled down. It was pretty nice.
I can get creative a lot of times, with things like removal of county property. You
You
can
could,
hit them a few times with different angles.
what I was thinking for this case is, those dogwoods, that's like 2-inch DBH, how much did that sucker cost? Like a couple grand, I'm assuming.
For 2-inch caliper,
Yeah,
for just a brand new one to come and plant, $150, something
okay,
like that.
$150 plus,
The labor though.
Yeah, $200
yeah.
for the tree.
yeah, plus all the labor, bill all the expenses, multiply that by 5. And then all that extra money that goes in, money from replacing that tree would just go into the tree bank. And there you go, you got enough money to plant another dogwood somewhere else in town, and it would be specifically earmarked for that.
So we need to write something, some
Yeah.
sort of recommendation. Or I think that, like, if we are upset about it, I think this is a great example of what we could be offering our guidance to the attorney's office.
did Mary already start writing the tree bank?
She had started kind of just the basic footwork, talking to people, seeing if it's feasible. I've got a bunch of the information, and I've talked with Sherry Hines a couple times. She's one of our attorneys. I don't know if she's really amenable to it, but just the forester randomly asking about a planting bank, there's probably not gonna be the best results, but if she has the community tree council saying, hey, we think this is a really good option, that can't be, I think, brushed aside as easily.
I mean, I feel like that's what this group exists for. And advise, recommend the powers that be, so then, professionals can actually write ordinances that carry out our recommendation.
So here's what I propose. I would like to maybe just put down some bare bones reasoning onto a letter and then send it out to everyone, and hopefully y'all will just rip it apart and reassemble it in any number of ways, or add things, or say things aren't good. But I'd love to be able to just send something out and get it worked on. If y'all feel like that's
Who are you
something.
getting the letter? Who are you writing the letter?
It would probably be going to the attorney's office. There might be other entities where it
Just
benefit.
send it to the mayor and commission, which they would then direct the attorney.
It's a good
The
one.
way that the ordinance gets changed is it has to go through. So usually it goes to mayor and commission from somebody's office and it's back.
Yeah, I can see it.
I mean, so the process would be should come out of the body, go to the elected. The mayor could then just go ahead and sign it to a commission committee for consideration, and then that committee would come forward with recommendations. They'd be working with staff on some of the goals in the attorney's office on an actual ordinance, and then it would get voted on by the entire commission.
I might
That's usually
suggest-
how those things work.
I might, could we add like photos of this particular example of
Yeah.
what was done and
I'll come up with examples of other tree banks from other municipalities.
But there's always, one thing I just noticed with the.
I know, it's just
It was like stones put in the urge, like, does any not understand that will kill your.
Yeah.
People talk.
Like, if you're planting cactuses, maybe.
I think
not.
Prince Market is one of the doing it because onto the sidewalk, like the drainage, all that good right there.
Bust out when.
I think
So
those
that was
were,
their reasoning.
put all those
I
blowers.
was involved in a memorial tree planting, like on Prince in the dogwoods, like, is that?
Okay.
Like, that was within Andrew Saunders' time.
We're doing, I think we're gonna plant 10 of them this year.
I mean, that was probably the same trees, maybe, like the.
You planted those trees that they topped?
Maybe.
Maybe.
I planted some in front of Flagpole.
Oh,
yeah.
Is that where you're?
Close to there, yeah, actually, just barely closer to downtown from Flagpole. Right over those driveways right there. So they were probably planning like
It's where where that viral video of the kid who like went down the stairs.
I'd love to see that again. I can't find that, and I'd love to see it again.
Oh my gosh.
Oh,
You
wait,
ask me about it every
is
time
this
we
the
go
one where
to
they have
barbers.
the My Heart Will Go On? Oh,
Yeah, there were a few versions out there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
oh, I saw
Down
that.
Pretty amazing.
the-
And
They
drove
found
down.
the trail of transmission fluid and it was around the
Yeah.
Came from Walmart.
Oh,
And.
So what level of crime was that Prince Market committed? Is it like,
it would be a misdemeanor, it'd be destruction of county property if we cite.
so are they charged with this crime?
Well, so here's the thing. If I cite them for it and we go after them with a citation, I don't know if necessarily we can get to replant at the same
Well,
time.
but if they were cited, it'd be on their record, and then rather than being an example of getting away with it.
They haven't been cited, they've been given a notice of non-compliance. So the whole building itself is under one tree management plan. So that building gets a notice of non-compliance.
But the county property is different.
Well, it's still part of that tree management plan as part of their street trees that are required. So when I kind of did my triage, I'm like, okay, well, what do I want to do here? Like, what's the best way for me to go about this? And it was, I could either go the citation route and then I have to do the replanting, or I can kind of play ball, scare them a little bit, and get them to replant it with whatever I was going to replant it with. So. And then we're not opening ourselves up to worrying about breaking the fiber line that's directly underneath it.
Oh.
We've got to hand dig this.
Yeah.
Whereas I don't want landscape management to break the fiber line, because that's thousands of dollars to replace very often.
You can't patch those either.
Yeah.
I've seen one of those get busted.
Whole line.
Hmm.
I broke fiber optic line in days, and it was not good. So that's kind of why I decided, I was like, I'm just gonna let them replant, I'm gonna get them to do it, and just kind of take the hit almost. I mean, unfortunately, much to my chagrin, I wish we could get more planted from them or from this issue.
Can
you get a bigger caliper
to help booster our ordinance?
Yeah, hopefully it can be used like in that fashion, not just what is so far, which is just me getting 2-inch Kuza dogwoods replanted.
Or can you make them change the size, like maybe a 3-inch or something?
A 3-inch just wouldn't go in that spot. The hole would have to be so big, and it's already in like a really cramped furrow. So 2 inches is really the only thing that I think is feasible to go.
And then on top of that, like the root ball from something bigger, you really approach that fiber line.
Yeah, yeah. So it's kind of like polishing the
Well, we
polishing the camera.
get a actual ordinance that expresses those kind of punitive damages, then there would be a clear pathway on how to move forward in those situations.
Yeah.
Here's another idea. Hit them for replacement at the tree's current size. And then go back and plant like a 2-inch DBH tree or whatever is feasible to plant in there, and then take the rest and put that in the bank.
Not that good.
So we don't have the bank.
Yeah.
Initially, what I wanted to do was have them plant more, go
Okay.
in the French. And
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
Andrew said he's okay with me trying to go for that, and I usually do, but in that spot, it's already overgrown. There's no other space to plant anything.
Yeah.
Like nothing else can be planted on that whole development. So really, I can only get them to replant what's there. But there have been some instances where I've been. But this is one of those really good examples. It's already over programmed, can't plant anything else.
So what I hate about this is they seem to have accomplished exactly what they wanted, open up the view of their business and
For another
not
5
really
years.
having to suffer for it. And that would be a bad example for other businesses, like they didn't suffer that much, so we can do the same.
Yeah.
So it seems that the way forward to coach for the future is to make some kind of change in the structure such that in the future, there is a bank or there is a fine or there is a penalty of a punitive damage section somehow. So how do we address that with the letter that you're talking about putting together, perhaps editing that and then taking it to the commissioner?
I think we need to show the importance of this issue. Just say, hey, this is something that we're worried about. It happens very often. Developers or businesses are able to get over on this and get exactly what how can we community can be in a better way, or make a positive effect on the lack of enforcement. I'm still waiting on Thor's Wine and Spirits to reach trees, and I don't think it's going to happen. So I think eventually I'll have to go the citation route, which is really tough because then we have a lawyer that goes and says, okay, we'll come to court with us. And then now we have to prove that Thor's Wine and Spirits cut those trees down.
Yeah.
How do I prove that?
What about the trees on Millage in front of the Best Western there?
Oh, God. That building and those, yeah, that What about that?
I don't know, it was here a while before I started, so I'm not sure.
Well, they had trees in the right of way that were just the saddest, poorest excuse.
Like
for
red
planting.
buds, but they were trying, but they're underneath the overhead. This like that building is so architecturally challenged. And then they were under there and now they're dead and gone. And in some ways, I'm just like, man,
Yes, yes.
I'm just glad I don't have to look at it anymore.
If it's
Yeah,
part of their
it was just
transition
for her and
plan,
myself
maybe
watching.
replant it.
I don't know what the options are there.
It was just a bad place to put a tree anyway.
And how that building.
I know, Melissa.
I
It
mean,
is-
They need a tree map.
It's been changed and when the varsity stuff is under a district, so they can't do that there.
Yeah.
So
I think this really shows, I'm glad you brought that up, Natalie, the trees on Prince, because it is, I think it's a glaring example of, some instances of our ordinance being impotent to really do much.
Yeah.
I just don't know, like all the verbiage, if that's gonna stop anybody from when they get that wild hair on Thanksgiving morning.
Yeah, I know.
just
Yeah.
Go out and do whatever the hell they
And
want.
what, they are like a landscape maintenance person to do?
Yeah,
Or okay,
got for landscape review.
okay.
How about public shaming?
I would love it.
It's never effective.
It's a really bad.
Public information office maybe frowns on that.
Well,
Well, flagpole's always good for a nice little article,
You know, I mean,
something, but everybody is so like, well, I feel like people in that neighborhood we're so anxious to have any kind of market.
Yeah.
They don't want to harass the owner too much.
Yeah, I don't want to see that business suffer, right?
Yeah.
I feel like they already are like swimming against the water, but I certainly think they could be used as an example to help further our agenda.
yeah,
Yeah.
I agree. Never let a good crisis go to waste.
Yeah.
That's what Marcus Aurelius said, or Winston Churchill, whatever.
Just a quick, I feel like we've talked about this before, but all the tree grates that are like at the courthouse or at the voter registration building, that don't have trees in them. What's up with that?
So replanting is typically something that's done with additional funds at the end of the year. So I think in the past, we haven't had much additional funds and just no planting happens.
Okay. But those places could have trees in them. They just don't.
A tree bank.
Well, we have wherever some money, we have some money. I saw that.
You totally could. I think there are some that are better than others. If there was a tree originally in it, though, what has to be done is we have to pull those grates out and then we have to stump grind and replace the soil.
Yeah.
So it is pretty labor intensive. And I have yet to do that to reinstall in a tree coffin.
Okay.
We should probably try that and see what the challenges are.
Well, it might be a nice goal, like monetary goal for this group to have is that every year, if it does end up being financially cumbersome, like every year, we're gonna do one. Like, we'll just do one, we'll just do it
Yeah.
slowly. It's better than not doing it, at
Yeah.
all, so.
And I think American holly would be really good downtown. Evergreen, super drought tolerant, it's got beautiful red berries for birds.
if you get a female.
Yeah.
So, okay. Well, should I just go stare at those circles and
Send me
declare
pictures.
which one I think would be best?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
know
send
exactly, yeah, I was
pictures,
just looking
you
at
know,
my-
if you're out walking around and you
Yeah.
see one, take a snap a
Okay.
photo, send it to me, just like, what's up, Mateo?
Okay.
And you
Why is
have,
this one
I
not
love that,
happening?
that's
You know?
something we could do.
Yeah,
For our-
yeah.
For our group, like one,
Like, yeah, this was the one we
One,
did
I mean, if that's all we can do,
2025.
yeah. And slowly.
Is there a way for you to kind of do an estimate based off of all of the things you mentioned, like having to remove the grate, having to stop grind, having to replace the soil, like, so that this group knows how much. they
I
would
have
be
a try.
contributing.
We can try and yank stuff out, which is always fun.
I love your rogue style.
Yeah,
She's like. That's awesome.
it's only 20 years
So I'll
old.
get an estimate.
They
I
are.
have a new approach to the grades now. Possibly.
Yeah, possibly. It's getting really tough for us to get that product
Is it?
right now. Which might be good. It's giving me more time to potentially air spade some of the large oaks on College Avenue. Before Streets and Drainage puts the coverings on them. I don't know if the one that I'm gonna air spade tomorrow and the next day will actually make it. It already looks really, really bad. If y'all are standing on College Avenue, arches behind you, and you're looking up towards City Hall, it's through the first light, that's Clayton,
Yeah.
right there on your right.
Okay, so across from the comic book style.
Yeah, where the Wells Fargo used to be, right in that
Okay.
corner.
Yeah.
And I've watched it decline over the years, and there's no rooting area for it. It's all super compacted, so tomorrow I'm gonna be air spading the roots out and putting new soil back in. With the hopes of it rebounding. It may end up being the case that we have to remove it. You know, but
Right.
worth a try.
Yeah.
I'm also gonna air spade the ginkgo on Prince Avenue. Right in front of the UGA President's House.
Yeah.
It's got like a huge mulch volcano around it, like the biggest one I've ever seen.
I look at that every time I walk by there and I'm like,
And that is that's a really important tree. It's the genetic basis for the presidential gold variety of Zikos. So they took it originally from that tree.
Is that select tree, is that one of their
I
varieties?
don't think they use that one. I think it's other nurseries. So yeah, those two trees are what I'm gonna be hitting here in the next couple of days, so. But yeah, I'll get an estimate on what it would be for maybe us just to do like a single tree grade each year. You know, what's the cost on that? Stump grinding, replacing the tree, soil, that kind of
Do
thing.
you guys have an in-house stump grinder thing?
Don't think so.
Okay, I'll note that.
Yeah, we
That would be
contract a
exciting.
lot of stump grinding
Oh,
out.
yeah, you have
We
one.
don't, I can give you the guy's number, it's Brett.
Okay. Yeah, I'm getting that welcome center one ground here in the next couple of days.
Oh, yeah.
$150, not too bad.
Oh, that's good.
That is good.
Bobby Benedict from Grind South.
Oh, okay.
But I'll get an estimate for trying to replace some downtown trees, because I think that would be a great option if CTC can just do one a year.
so good.
Well, and also, it's like, it's important to have a monetary goal. Like sometimes in the past, when we used to do things where we raised funds, we were sort of questioning like, well, what are we gonna use the money for, you know? This has some longevity attached to it because you know that that there are a lot of empty grates out there, so.
And visibility too.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely. And I think it could in turn, because of the visibility, help, help raise additional funds because folks will, there's something to point to, so. To leave y'all.
Also goes back to my idea about having QR codes. Adopt a tree. See tree, that might go towards funding and additional trees too.
I do like the QR code idea.
You need to be tagging all of our trees.
Yeah, I'm gonna be doing an inventory on all the downtown trees here really soon, or a re-inventory of all of them. Just to see what all we got, see what kind of accurate information I have. But I think it's about, unless anybody else has anything they would like to chat about. Madam President,
To adjourn this meeting.
anybody second
I'll
that?
second it.
Any nays?
Nice.
Maybe so.
Monday, see you Monday.
Yeah,
Right.
Monday.
Yep.
Do you know of a location in town where I can pull the Sawyer Club?
just, chainsaw, safety, felling, that kind of stuff.
That's crazy. I've been there since then.
It's on the ones on. I signed up for like car.
Good.
Like, for the I was watching the other day and I looked up.
I so wish I could be in.
They've got
Texas
this like,
once.
maybe.
It's only 2 hours.
No, I'm leading the side. I'm over north. No, and I have to stick around for the leading and pick up after. But I'm really glad
And so you
CPC.
drove halfway up the street.
Thanks to you.
Yeah.
I say,
Yeah, and then, yeah, and then they pressed it and then pretty much high centered.
because what? I didn't even know what, I need to go look at it. Yeah.
Shut it down. That's the market first, but yeah.
That's great.
But it's still like, proper, out of the residential area.
Yeah. What are you doing? Like
If it's like a road or
It's
something,
supposed to get anything.
down the slope.
Wildland firefighting.
They were, I'm really upset.
Well, you will be. Monday.
Right.
Well, I'm gonna go look at it before and after, so I'll know something.
Yeah, there's.
Right on, sport felling 101.
Not spoiled.